Autumn has arrived, the garden is shifting. The vibrant green of summer is fading into rich golds and vibrant crimsons. As the leaves fall and the plants begin to die back, there's a calmness in the air, a reminder that the season is about to go to rest and it's time for reflection. Today I'm making the most of the garden season. Whether you're a new gardener or you've been gardening for a while, I'm going to be talking you through tasks that you need to do to make sure that you're prepared for autumn. Harvesting the last of the summer crops, tidying up the garden, and mulching so you're prepared for spring, so that you're hitting the ground running for this autumn season. As the season dies down, I'm going to harvest the last of the tomatoes. Blight has really begun to set in, but that's normal and completely natural. Just in case you're wondering, how can you tell that a black tomato has blight? You see that? Yeah. These tomatoes with blight on them make a lovely treat for the chickens. Even the tomatoes that aren't affected don't store very well, so you want to use these as soon as you get them home. And if you're stuck for tomato ideas, have a look on our channel, we've got tons of recipes. And after we finish harvesting, I'll show you how to prepare the beds for spring. As I'm doing this, like in the back of my mind, I'm like just sort of refreshing through the season that we've had. And I remember at the beginning of the season, me and Bob were like, oh, what do you think this season's like? We always like to make predictions and stuff. And I said to him, it's going to be a very hot season. I thought it was going to be like 2020 hot. So I was like, let's double down on tomatoes and let's double down on, you know, the hot weather crops. He was like, no, it's gonna be cold, Nick, you wanna grow cabbages, etc. I was like, he's so wrong. And I remember standing here and talking to you guys and saying, oh, he's so wrong. I don't think he was. Also, here in the UK, we have a festival called Harvest. It's a festival celebrating all the wonderful things that we're able to collect throughout the growing season. It's also a time where we get together as, you know, as a community, and we donate money and we donate food to charities for people that aren't as well off as we are. I know I'm tomato rich at the moment, and every time, maybe it's because I've got a primary school student, but every time the season's becoming to be slightly over, I always think back on the celebration of harvest, and I think it's a really good thing for kids to learn. Autumn gives us the ability to look back on what could have been and celebrate what was. I try to keep autumn as a celebration instead of an end. It's so easy to think to yourself, well, this is the end of the garden season. There's no point of even doing anything. Let's just pack up our stuff and leave, sort of thing. But instead of that, I think of this as a new beginning. You can't help but reflect upon success and failures of this year. Weather aside, I thought this was going to be a challenging year for me anyway. Gardening with such a small child is a challenge. I think I've had a few successes this year, like the tomatoes and the chickens, and a few failures. Whoops. And if you're coming off of this season with loads and loads of failures, think about it. Is going outside and spending so much time in nature really that much of a failure? I don't think so. And there's always next year. Harvesting tomatoes at the end of the season is always a little bit bittersweet because it's nice to get that final flush of tomatoes that you could do something with, but also you see your plants that you've loved and cared for so very long, so sick and kind of falling apart. Wow, what a lot of work. Look at the difference. Once the harvest is done, it is time to cover the garden beds with a layer of organic matter, like horse manure. It helps nourish the soil and protect it through the cold months. It's a simple but important step to ensure your garden is ready for spring. Adding a layer of organic matter to the garden bed helps nourish and protect it. This no-dig method gives the ground all of the nutrients it needs for the growing season ahead. Another easy job this time of year is deadheading, and this will help the plants preserve energy, especially these perennials, for next year. Especially these deadheading allows your plants to get a new lease of life before winter. Autumn is a great time to plan what you're going to be doing, either in spring or for the coming autumn season. If you're a new gardener, jotting down a few ideas of what you like to eat is a really good idea. And to calculate how much you're actually going to use of something, we've all gone a little bit overzealous and grown an absolute glut that we're not going to be able to eat. It can feel daunting, but having a garden journal will really help. See what grows well and where. Finding your first and last frost dates really helps with planning and makes things a little bit less overwhelming. I remember my first year gardening, I used to get very stressed out about all of the things I needed to do. Jotting down a few ideas really does help me organise what I want to do next year. Each year you learn a little bit more, makes it a little bit less daunting. And if you find these tips helpful, follow along and subscribe so that you get more tips like this. Just because it's the last of the summer season doesn't mean we have to say goodbye to the garden. There's a whole host of things that you can be sowing and growing this winter. as one door closes, another door opens. You just need to walk through it. Thank you so much for coming along with me today. And if you like content like this, please go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.